This week's episode was brought to you by Dreas, Steph, and Aeronaut. Thank you, Dreas, Steph, and Aeronaut. It's with the generous support of our badass listeners like yourself that we keep our bunny boat afloat with fresh oats to feed the she-goat on the holy mountain who suckles Zeus. And if we stop, well, then malnourishment could ensue. And then how do you think that'll affect the weather? If you'd like to help us keep Zeus pacified with fresh goat milk, or just hear the second half of this episode that is going to get me gang stalked by 2 or 3 different organizations, then please visit www.patreon.com/thewholerabbit, where your monthly donation of just $5 will not only get you the extended second half of this apocryphal episode, oh no, you'll get the second uncensored half of every single one of our evil Gnostic bad guy episodes that stretches back before time splintered, so basically infinity. But if that's not enough, I'll send you a 5x5 high quality vinyl sticker of our Big Bunny Baphomet cover art as soon as I'm finished doing rituals on them. But not only that, you'll be granted the digital keys to our Discord server, which is a communications hub for wizards, CIA plants, sorcerers, FBI informants, Discordians, quite a few animal lovers, Jewish space laser technicians, crypto-Jungians, Jay Anderson sleep paralysis demon, transsexuals, and some guy named Sirius. In this week's episode, we cross ourselves with hot dog water and prepare to draw a circle of wisdom around a religious archetype that has haunted our collective imaginations for a millennia, the Antichrist. Join us as we explore the entire story of the Antichrist using the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Quran, and Tucker Carlson's interviews as a source for revealing the Idol Shephard, who is destined to vanquish the saints, roll out the mark of the beast, and prepare to do battle with none other than Jesus Christ himself. In the free side of the show, we discuss the epistles of John, the vision of Daniel, what it all has to do with a Seleucid tyrant king named Antiochus IV. Warning, it gets pretty graphic. In the extended side of the show, we discuss the Kingdom of Edom, the Satanic Angel Samael, the Gematria of Little Horn, a bit of alchemy, some ancient Egypt, a brief eschatological timeline of exactly how you're screwed, and finally, the Islamic version of the Antichrist known as the Djal. If you listen to this entire episode, you're probably going to get offended. Thank you, and enjoy the show. I make apocalypse jokes like there's no tomorrow.
Nice.
Apparently, I've catastrophically misunderstood what apocalypse means. Oh well, it's not the end of the world.
That's funny.
You know what makes the Antichrist a bad guy?
What?
He turns wine into water.
No!
See? Why doesn't Jesus have aunts?
Aunts?
Well, I guess... Why doesn't
What's an
Jesus...
aunt? You
Why
mean
doesn't
an aunt?
Jesus... Yeah, see, I can't do this right, because you have to pronounce it. Why doesn't Jesus have ants?
Why?
Because
they-
he cleans up after himself.
Yeah, no, because they'd be antichrists.
Yeah, that doesn't work with aunt.
Antichrists.
Antichrist. Yeah.
That's the one you gotta look out for. Her name's Karen.
Yeah.
You'll find out why.
I get it.
I met a horse who keeps talking about the apocalypse.
Oh?
He told me the end is nay.
Oh.
Oh, God.
I like these ones.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Whole Rabbit, where we don't just tell you about what happens when a boy is raised by beasts only to be dragged into society after the church found him and made sure he had a proper haircut. Nay, we also discuss the son of perdition, the little horn, who groweth from a larger one, the Idol Shephard, in whose graven image his prophet shall be given the power to enforce the worship of through a global system of finance, healthcare, AI-generated slop content, and ultimately religion, because this week we're discussing the Antichrist.
I'm scared.
I'm your host, Luke Madrid, also known as the Hack Rabbit. I'm joined this week by our active duty squad of hosts, the Holy Hellenic Hound, Mari-sama,
The power of dog compels you.
the tormentor of untested truths, Tim the Hesperides humper hacker,
Given your anger.
and the spy with the golden thigh, Chills.
As it was written, so it shall be.
He's just going to forget to introduce his wife.
What about the most loveliest, most now Americanized, awesome lady?
I'm offended because
of the
Canadians
new
were really
Babylon?
awesome in World War II and World War One.
And the little horn herself.
Bro, what?
The
little-
horned unicorn.
Yes.
Excuse me.
The little horn,
sure you put
because
it-
actually it sort
sure
of
you put an
plays
N
into
on-
our episode.
I was gonna
It's
say, enunciate your N.
the little horned corn of unicorn. Hecka Astra.
She's gross.
Hello.
So we finally got your green card. You're an American now. Almost.
Woo!
Kind of.
I'm like intermediate American.
You're trial subscription based American.
Yeah.
Welcome to Earth.
Welcome to the only country that matters.
She's Canadian. See how she laughed at that? See, I'm Canadian too now. That's how it works. You marry a Canadian, you instantly become a Canadian.
Well, they're working on it.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not sure how we made it almost 7 years without discussing, one of the most important religious archetypes ever, the Antichrist. It's one of those things you hear about all the time, but getting more than just tantalizing, spooky gossip is sort of gatekept behind some pretty complicated biblical interpretation that spans all the way from the Old Testament through to the Quran. So while the details may differ here and there without a single definitive place for the entire story, start to finish, the belief in the Antichrist is nonetheless widespread.
Yeah, it's so widespread. I hear atheists calling people the Antichrist all the time.
Well, atheists are just confused Christians.
So to start with the big question, where perhaps it starts and ends, who is the Antichrist?
You know me.
According to prominent political theorist and professor of geopolitical game theory, Professor Zhang from Predictive History, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, but it looks like Zhu Qin. He says, regardless of your personal beliefs, or religious beliefs that is, the big ideas that are hard-baked into the world's major religions, they actually influence world affairs greatly, especially the big ideas that relate to the end of the world. Eschatology, if you want to use a $5 word. Well, in episodes past, we have discussed eschatology quite a bit. We have somehow managed to overlook the arch-villain prophecy to be calling the shots at this time. A shadowy, mysterious figure that exists in some form or fashion in all three major Abrahamic religions. A dark leader destined by God to usher in the end of days and the final battle between good and evil.
Canada?
Mark Carney, the Antichrist.
The world has changed much, and I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
That's a joke.
Canada
You didn't
jokes.
get it.
Canada jokes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and like for a long time, I thought Antichrist was like the opposite of Christ. So it would just be some like holy douchebag. But it's actually different when it's written in, at least in Revelations, it is a person that is mistaken for the second coming of Jesus.
I'm a prescription American now. I'm allowed to make fun of Canada, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Also,
Everyone's allowed to make fun of Canada.
It's part of my duty now in payment of said prescription.
that's true. But
Canada is now your hat.
back to what you were saying, Mari. Yes, it is somebody who will be mistaken for Christ. And I'm sorry for any Mark Carney supporters. We have already proven, using math, that Donald Trump is probably the Antichrist.
I mean, we're also going to make a good case, I think, for multiple people.
Yes.
You really gonna throw him that bone?
We're going to throw
No.
everyone under the bus, Mari.
I love everyone.
Well, by the end of this episode, you might be convinced that maybe he doesn't fit, because really, it's all how you interpret it. Because like I said, a little bit of the Antichrist does appear in all three major Abrahamic religions. But it came into the public discourse recently through guess who? Tucker Carlson.
Oh man.
So we're saying it's possible he's a horn, but he might not be the little horn.
Dominion.
Oh, but people are saying Obama was the Antichrist. It's just like a trendy thing to do every few years.
It's a new calling someone Satan, right?
Pretty
Yeah.
much anybody who's been in charge of anything since biblical
be.
times, is the Antichrist.
Everyone I don't like is the Antichrist.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
I need a shirt that says that.
If you're liberal, your enemies are all Nazis. If you're conservative, all your enemies are the Antichrist.
I think we cracked the code.
But then Hitler's also the Antichrist,
Especially Hitler.
but also Stalin.
Yeah.
So really,
Everyone I don't like is Hitler and the Antichrist.
Yeah, I think we've got our bases covered here.
All
We
right,
have a
and
winner.
That's it. That's all. End of the show.
Looking back to Tucker Carlson. So he had this guy for an interview named Conrad Flynn on October 3rd, 2025. No, I don't know who Conrad Flynn is, but he did an amazing job of framing exactly who the Antichrist is and why we find him in pretty much every religion, including Thelema, which I didn't mention before. Conrad Flynn said on Tucker Carlson,
The Antichrist is this mysterious faith figure prefigured in the Bible. He's not quite known, but in the same way the Old Testament prophets were familiar with the concept of a Messiah, but didn't know he would be Jesus. So moderns today are similarly aware of the concept of an Antichrist without being fully aware of who he will actually be. But they have clues and doctrines about who he is. That is a rough, some would say very rough concept of the Antichrist. But that is essentially him, the Bible as a type of person. But he is essentially the, unlike Jesus, man of sorrows, totally rejected by the world. The Antichrist will be regarded as a savior, a hero, and temporarily will be received like how you thought Jesus would be received. Yeah, so that's what I thought. Originally, like, when I was younger, I thought, oh, an Antichrist figure would be like someone that is like literally Hitler. That maybe some people like him, but the rest of the world knows it's like a bad person. But it's supposed to be a figure that is like adored by many, many people. But it's almost like a wool's pulling over your eyes. Like the figure is not what it seems to be, but it has an alluring tendency to be like, look like it's a second coming.
yes, precisely. Now, if you want to have a good laugh, see what Conrad says about the Kabbalah.
True.
Oh boy.
Okay, I wasn't going to say it, but he's like, listen, man, the demons eventually evolve into aliens, but the aliens, in order to create themselves, have to send the Kabbalah back in time to the Jews, who then take care of it until John D turns it into artificial intelligence so that we can create UFOs so that the demons will evolve, right? Something like that.
It's a really good way to have someone just like, and now I'm going to throw out everything he said.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
It was bad.
It's close to it. But, you know, the first part about the Antichrist, pretty good synopsis. That being said, where did this whole idea of the Antichrist begin in the first place? Well, historically, the first mention of the Antichrist comes from the epistles of John, whose current scholarship dates it between 90 and 110 Common Era. In this chapter, John is clarifying to early Christians some of the caveats that come with the idea of being saved in Christ, along with a number of warnings. The warning being, there are posers amongst the Christians who, despite claiming to be saved, still harbor hatred in their hearts for their fellow man or brothers, as the text refers to them. Warning that if they continue to do this, even now, they cannot be saved, like Billy Corgan. In this way, the threat of the Antichrist is not just some monolithic evil figure looming on the horizon, but a force that is expressed through people of the era, even other Christians. From the context of John, it appears to be an idea that is already alive and active within the community. John is merely addressing it directly.
So John 2:18 says, 1 John 2:18, Little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard that the Antichrist shall come, even now are there many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time.
So he's doing this classic religious bit where he's like, see, there's all these people around that disagree with me. That means the end times are coming like 6 months from now. This is what religion does. That being said, the term used in the original Greek is antichristos, a compound of anti, against, or in opposition to, or in later theological usage, in place of, or counterfeit for, combined with Christos, which means anointed one, the Greek translation of the Hebrew concept of the Messiah.
So like a false prophet.
The false prophet to end all false prophets.
I just want to jump in here because this is one of those terms that you hear occasionally in Christianity, but not many people know what it means or where it comes from. So in the Bible, in the Israelite faith and culture, the kings of Israel were anointed, which literally means that you have oil poured on you. And this was the symbolic act performed by the high priest that made you the king.
And they still do this to English royalty.
They do?
Yes.
That's what Justin Bieber is thinking about.
They have anointing, like they actually put oil on the head and stuff. Yeah, full on.
Made out of babies. I'm sorry.
And so the Greek word chrisma, which is in English you would say chrism. Chrisma means an unguent or an oil. And so that's actually where the word Christos is derived, where we get Christ, someone who has been anointed, and in the Jewish tradition, anointed as the king.
I think it also shares etymological roots with charisma. That's like the potent essence, which I'm assuming is also why the Antichrist would be very charismatic.
Wait just a goddamn second. You're telling me that this brain rot term Riz is also related to Christ?
Yes.
So Jesus really is the Rizzler. 6'7".
Are you the anti-Rizzler?
Mustard! He is risen! Maybe the end times are here.
We're just going to start calling the Antichrist the anti-Rizzler.
No, that scares
Yep.
me more
No,
than
that's
anything else we've researched. So yes, it's exactly like you're saying, Chills. Antichristos literally means the one who is against the anointed, or the one who is in place or substitute for the anointed. Margarine, basically.
Margarine is oil-based.
I can't believe it's not Jesus. The author of the epistles is the first known writer in any language to coin and then employ this precise term. No earlier Jewish, Greek, or pagan text uses Antichristos before these letters of John. Despite popular attribution, this term, Antichristos, also does not appear in Revelation, and despite similar descriptions of false prophets and false messiahs, this particular Greek term, Antichristos, is limited to 1 John.
So it is implied in the original Greek text that there are already many antichrists, like Luke pointed out. If we're looking specifically at the Greek transcripts, pardon my Greek, it's not my bag, but it says Antichristos erketai, meaning Antichrist is coming. Then kai nin antichristoi poloi gegonasin, meaning even now many antichrists have arisen, which is what Luke was saying. So in the next line, he writes about what the antichrists have already done, saying,
They went out from us, but they did not really belong to us, because if they had belonged to us, they would have remained with us. But they went out from us to demonstrate that all of them do not belong to us.
This verse is telling us about some of the antichrists that already did exist as he was writing it, basically defining what it means to be an antichrist as it's being written, and that just gets carried forward. So firstly, it isn't just someone who stands against the gospel or actively tries to squash it. This definition also includes anyone that has joined the movement but does not truly embrace the gospel. In other words, anyone who claims the faith but does not truly have it, as well as anyone who was previously in the group and then left. So those that left are implied as not sharing the same faith. Naturally, this would include any false teachers or those that were never able to connect to the gospel. Many of these antichrists had already left or would leave in the future of their own accord. It's also an easy way to just throw all other sects of Christianity under the bus, so you have to be the right kind of Christian. It also makes me think of the Holy Mountain, where there's all the people being like, I have conquered the Holy Mountain, and they all have like these different ways. They'd all be antichrists.
Obviously, yeah, that's exactly right.
There's another one of these technical Christian terms that I think applies here as well, which is apostate. It's another term you hear thrown around a lot, but doesn't often get explained. But this is basically a member of a religion who leaves it, renounces it, and especially if they begin preaching or acting against their old faith.
It really throws the Gnostics under the bus.
Which is probably the original point, because Gnostics are the original Christians.
Does it throw the Gnostics under the bus?
You can know it.
Right after this, John implies that not just false Christians may be antichrist, but pretty much anyone who denies Christ in general.
So 1 John 2:20 through 23. But ye have an unction from the Holy One, and ye know all things. I have not written unto you because ye know not the truth, but because ye know it, and that no lie is of the truth. Who is a liar but he that denieth that Jesus is the Christ? He is an antichrist, that denieth the Father and the Son. Whoever denieth the Son, the same hath not the Father. For he that acknowledgeth the Son hath the Father also.
This one line in John 2:22 seems to indicate that for whatever religion henceforth who claims Abrahamic lineage and presumably God the Father's covenant with them, will be invalid unless they have faith in the Son as well. A not-so-subtle jab at Orthodox Judaism. And later, although it doesn't exist yet, Islam. This seems pretty straightforward. If you're not with Christ, you're against him. Considering this, and the name of the Antichrist himself, you'd think this figure would be limited to Christianity. But as it turns out, the Jews and Muslims have their own versions of the Antichrist as well. Also, don't forget about the Lima. Does that count? I don't know if that counts.
Does Satanism have an Antichrist? Is it just
Yeah, it's
Jesus?
Christ.
It's just Pam
Christ.
Bondi.
It's just regular Christ.
For the same reason that anti-theism is a valid theistic view, I think it would be accurate to say that the Antichrist for Satanists would be Christ.
No.
Okay. But wouldn't it have to be someone that you would confuse for the Antichrist?
It's just Horus.
The Satanic Antichrist?
Yeah, because Set. See, okay, now she's looking at me with hatred.
No, it's not hatred. It's more confusion because the concept of the Antichrist is that like, oh, it's the bad thing, and it's the bad thing that we need to be against because the bad thing is against our thing.
Yeah, for Set, Horus is bad.
Right. So then the bad thing against their thing would be Christ. Like from their perspective, Antichrist good, Christ bad.
No, the Setian. So the Antichrist to the Setian would be Horus.
Oh, well, you have to specify what kind of Satanist then.
Okay,
Because if it's Setian, then it would be Horus.
the anti-Set.
The anti-Set. Yeah.
What if that's what Jesus says when he arrives? He's like, behold, the anti-Set. Everyone's like, what the f*** is he talking about?
I don't know, but he's got a giant f***ing sword coming out of his mouth.
I'm so scared.
And he's angry as f***.
Help.
It's too late. No! All right, so once you look at the Jewish equivalent and the exceedingly colorful imagery associated with it, you can see why Christianity needed a dramatic flourish like Revelation. In fact, this is where biblical scholars point to when they're asked, how did this whole Antichrist thing get started anyway? They don't usually point to John, they point to Daniel. The specific terminology notwithstanding.
I mean, it's important to note that everything in the New Testament had the foundation of the Old Testament underneath it, right? So the Tanakh, the Hebrew belief system, Hebrew text, all of that was a foundation for the New Testament and the New Gospel to be built upon. So that makes sense.
The big point is that this is the first clearly delineated eschatological flesh and blood supervillain of the canonical Bible. It is this figure that makes its appearance here in the book of Daniel. So the dramatic events in the book of Daniel take place during the meteoric rise to power of the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar II and his successful conquest of the Middle East, which crushed the old world under its boot and made way for a new era of Babylonian domination through the entire region. The turning point came when Nebuchadnezzar was still crowned prince and, one afternoon, crushed the Egyptian army at Carchemish. With that victory, the Near East ceased to be Egyptian or Assyrian, and it became Babylonian, meaning Jerusalem's days of independence were numbered. 2 years later, after being crowned king, Nebuchadnezzar came back for tribute. The king of Judah, Jehoiakim, an Egyptian vassal, promptly submitted. These events are spoken of in Daniel 1:1-4.
In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand with some of the vessels of the house of God. Then the king commanded Ashpenaz, his chief eunuch, to bring some of the people of Israel, both of the royal family and of the nobility, youths without blemish, handsome, intelligent in all wisdom, endowed with knowledge, quick to learn, and competent to stand in the king's palace, and teach them the literature and language of the Chaldeans.
Daniel and his fellow captives were marched 600 miles to Babylon, made to walk through the giant gates of Ishtar, adorned with lions of lapis lazuli, processed through the palace, ritually renamed with Babylonian theophoric names, and enrolled in a 3-year imperial academy where they studied Akkadian cuneiform, astronomy, divination, mythology, court protocol, and pool. They didn't learn pool, I made that up. Essentially, they learned evil devil pagan magic.
Oh, yeah, they sound like real baddies, what with their taking in of foreigners and, making them slaves by training them in academic topics of the utmost prestige within the most distinguished and reputable of imperial colleges, only to have the slave become welcomed as a high-ranking official in their empire. What assholes.
Sounds like a deal.
Dicks.
They made them eat food that wasn't, kosher. Like, I don't know what food isn't kosher. or like crabs and stuff. I don't
Shrimp. Yeah.
fucking goddamn shrimp eating Babylonian
Yeah, lobster tails.
goddamn crustacean munching folks. So as it turns out, Daniel, now renamed Belteshazzar, I guess you'd be mad if you were renamed Belteshazzar, along with his 3 friends,
Daniel's just easier to say.
Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah.
There's 4.
Yeah, it's basically Harry Potter. They make exquisite students, and despite refusing to give up their god, they do well, climbing the ranks of Babylonian aristocracy. They get the sorting hat, they go into the best house. You've seen the whole thing. As one of the more colorful sections of the Old Testament, we would probably require 3 episodes to tell the entire story of Daniel, which, from a literary perspective, spans the story arc of the Babylonian Empire from its prolific rise under Nebuchadnezzar to its fall under the Persians. Amongst many other dramatic happenings, Daniel rises under Nebuchadnezzar to be the highest holy man in the land. He's made governor of the region, which contains the city itself, and is kept as Nebuchadnezzar's personal sage and dream interpreter. So he's really effing important. It is after Nebuchadnezzar's death during the first year of the reign of Belshazzar that Daniel, one night, falls into a troubled sleep and has a nightmare of biblical myth.
Now, before getting into Daniel's dream, I think it's important to note that the book of Daniel is in the Old Testament of the Bible, so it is a part of the Hebrew Bible, or Tanakh. The Old Testament is still embraced by most sects of Christianity, which includes the book of Daniel. Though how it is interpreted according to Jews or Christians is kind of where lines get blurred as to what this vision means. So digging into chapter 7 of the book of Daniel, where he recalls in first person the visions that he had in a dream. Firstly, he beholds the chaotic, unsettled, and warlike sentiment felt by the world. And this is symbolized by the 4 winds upon the sea. From here, 4 distinctly different, spooky beasts rise out of the sea. Woo! Biblical scholars have reached a common consensus that these 4 beasts are related to 4 separate empires.
One actually is Mr. Beast, right?
So the first Mr. Beast is a lion with wings, which symbolizes Babylon, and it's made to have its wings plucked, forced to stand, and given the heart of a man. The second beast is a hungry, hungry bear that is raised on its side with ribs in its teeth, and this symbolizes the Medo-Persian Empire. So I'm just going to pause here to state that Daniel was a high official throughout both of these empires, as Luke pointed out. The third beast is a 4-headed, 4-winged leopard.
One-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eat.
This symbolizes Greece. And then finally, the 4th beast represents the Roman Empire. So of this beast, Daniel writes the following.
And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. It had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this little horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things.
I just wanted to make a little note here because this part specifically gets really relevant in most Christian interpretations. This idea of a mouth speaking great things leads many to believe that the Antichrist is going to be some sort of politician or at least a prominent public figure. I'm sure we'll come back to this though.
I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair on his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. 1,000 thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the little horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, like one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion, and glory, and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed.
Dominion.
I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld.
Stout means fat.
Yeah, I know. It was short and fat. That's why it's called Little Horn. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus, he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his
Dominion.
to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion, and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven, shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him.
So it basically tells you in there that these beasts are symbolic of actual kings and kingdoms and all that. So there's quite a
The
bit
nations
to
and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's telling you like this vision is symbolic of these real things. And there's quite a bit to unpack in this chapter of Daniel, but in a nutshell, you might view it from one of 2 totally different perspectives if you're either a modern Jew or a Christian.
Those are the only 2 options, by the way.
Right.
For starters, the term little horn is often thought by biblical scholars of all kinds to represent a man named Antiochus IV Epiphanes, a Greek Macedonian king who ruled the Seleucid Empire. Antioch, modern-day Antakya in Turkey, was the capital city of the Seleucid Empire. Okay, so if the little horn is Antiochus IV Epiphanes, then case closed on who the Antichrist is, right? Well,
Right.
This is also where some of the validity of the historical accuracy of Daniel comes into question. So Daniel is meant to come across as being written in the 6th century BCE, but it was actually written in the 2nd century BCE.
What?
So 4 centuries later. Due to the copious amount of evidence that there is to support this, scholars largely agree that it was written between 167 and 164 BCE. This places the writing of the book of Daniel squarely within the time of Antiochus IV's reign of the Seleucid Empire. This is from 175 to 164 BCE. In other words, Daniel is largely thought to be Jewish political propaganda against Antiochus IV, made to appear like Daniel had a premonition of his evil 4 centuries prior.
So it's always been 4chan.
So what I'm describing right now is called the Maccabean hypothesis. Basically, it's academically accepted that Daniel was likely written in the style of a prophecy occurring in the 6th century, but was actually written during the time in which it was suggesting that it was prophesizing, which explains not only how the text lacks earlier examples as evidence, but it also explains the historical accuracy of the text to a degree. If we're to take the academic narrative, which states that the little horn is Antiochus IV, and that this text was written as a political campaign against him, then it would also explain why the end of Antiochus's reign was falsely predicted by the text.
Oh, that makes sense. This, of course, begs the question. What the heck did Antiochus IV do to deserve such infamy among the 2nd century Jewish community? Turns out, the answer has a lot to do with false reports of Antiochus's death, although this one much earlier. Having wrested the throne of the Seleucid Empire from his child nephew, Antiochus IV would eventually find himself duking it out with King Ptolemy VI, a Greek king of Egypt. I think he's referred to as like the last king.
I think
of like that period.
I could be wrong, but I think it might be Psalmtic. I'm not entirely sure.
So anyway, underestimating the new Seleucid king demands back Syria and fails miserably. This pits the two empires against each other. Part of Antiochus' rise to power and his extravagant ruling style, he's known to throw banquets for the elites and throw money at the plebs in the streets like he's Joker, was helped by his consistent effort to keep relations with Rome on the up and up. This is probably why then, on the verge of attacking Alexandria and delivering the coup de grace to Egypt, he was single-handedly halted by a Roman ambassador named Gaius Pompilius Linnaeus, who delivered a message from the Roman Senate directing Antiochus to withdraw his armies from Egypt and Cyprus or consider himself in a state of war with the Roman Republic. Not something you want to be in.
I actually really love this story.
They're really good at killing stuff, Romans. When Antiochus said he would go talk it out with his boys, Pompilius refused and literally drew a circle around the king and said, "Before you leave this circle, give me a reply that I can take back to the Roman Senate." Only after Antiochus agreed to withdraw did Pompilius shake his hand and let him out of the circle.
That's why I like this story.
It's such a good story. Same here.
So, like, if you don't give me a satisfactory, answer of what to think and you step out of this circle, we're just gonna crush you. We're just gonna destroy you. So, I mention this because, although it's never stated in these terms, the idea that the prototypical archetypal Antichrist was literally placed inside of a circle and bullied into submission is perfectly on brand with how demons, even of the most powerful variety, are to be dealt with in magic traditions of the cultures we are currently discussing.
I just love this idea. This is such a good point. And in addition to the magic evocation circle, you also have the appeal to a greater authority that's used in binding demons, usually with the names of God, but in this case, by naming the Roman Senate. And it just makes me think, like, next time you have to negotiate with someone at your job, you draw a circle around them and invoke the name of your boss.
I am the Senate.
To bind them.
Don't you get out of that circle. Don't you do it.
An evolution of the same meme was the distasteful rumor, one Aleister Crowley partook in, that if you drew a circle around a Yazidi, as they are erroneously believed to be devil worshippers, they would be unable to escape or walk out of it. As it turns out, this is where the story of Antiochus the Antichrist begins. Although he still probably had more to profit from not sieging Egypt, Antiochus's ego was severely bruised, and he was about to learn of some news that made him absolutely bloodthirsty. For some time, the Seleucid Empire had its grip on Jerusalem, and like the Ptolemaic Egyptians, allowed the Jews to act more or less like the Jews, giving them religious freedom at the expense of tribute. Things were about to change. For some time now, Antiochus had been taking advantage of this situation and had basically auctioned the seat of the Hebrew High Temple priest to the highest bidder. In this case, a dude named Joshua, who, in his willingness to bend a knee to Hellenization, was known as Jason. He is referred to in the Bible. One thing Jason, at the behest of Antiochus, was able to do was institute a system of gymnasium and hold it outside the Hebrew temple. Gymnasium is hard to explain, but it's best understood as something like naked exercise of the Olympic variety, which in Hellenic culture was, quote,
Recognized as the standard educational prerequisite for Greek youths wishing to attain citizenship in the polis.
So it's spelled the same way as gymnasium or gym, which is, modern PE in schools.
like gym class.
Yeah, gym class, gymnasium.
This is why you have to defeat your gym teacher in Persona 5.
Yes. The way I've heard this explained, gymnasium was like the Greek equivalent of high school, and you would learn ethics and public speaking, and then everyone would get naked and oil up and wrestle and run track naked. The Greek system put a lot of emphasis on physical and mental growth being connected.
Naturally, most Jews hated this and saw it for what it was, a cultural boot on their neck by Antiochus and his vassal priest Jason, who, according to most sources, had attained his office by offering the largest portion of tribute from the temple coffers.
Well, let's be real, they probably also thought that gymnasium was super gay.
Yeah, because it is.
It is, let's be real.
You gotta look good all naked and oiled up for your older, 40, 50-year-old patron to come groom you into being a citizen.
Symposium episode incoming?
Naked, oiled up men wrestling.
I don't think they thought of it as gay per se. They just thought of it as hot. You know what I mean?
Probably unnecessary,
Well, like, from what I understand, I don't know how I know this, but they really didn't like circumcision. Like the Romans, they were like, ew, like, you have to put something over it if you're going to be out there, like, throwing the discus.
Oh, that makes sense. You have a bunch of uncircumcised, oiled up dudes wrestling each other, like, right in front of their temple. That is pretty disrespectful, actually.
But, like, or if they are circumcised, it also doesn't really work with gymnastics. So, like, it's, what do you call it?
Where are you
Do they
going
have to
with
put
this?
the little fig leaf on?
Yes! It's another word for humiliation. Like,
Humiliation?
Embarrassment?
I can't think of what it is. It's like a,
Socially chastised?
it's like the opposite of good propaganda for you. It's like, it's
Exposed.
like made to humiliate you, but I don't remember what it is. It's like a, it's like on the tip of my tongue.
Subjugation?
It's close to that. I can't think of it.
That is kind of cultural subjugation.
If I was wrestling naked, I would definitely not want to be circumcised. How else are you going to dock with them?
Ah, bro.
Jesus Christ.
The Romans were like, you can't wrestle with the glands showing. You must tuck it away. If you have the glands showing, how will there be an appetizer? So it's the most tasty part.
I mean, it would be pretty disrespectful regardless. Like, if you had, even if it wasn't religious, if you had, like, a place of gathering that was specifically for one particular purpose or system that everyone that gathered there believed in, and the taxes that were paid from that ended up funding something that would quite literally go to that place to do the exact opposite in front of it, it would be considered disrespectful, right?
It's your most holy
Like a gay
place.
pride parade in front of a Catholic church?
Yeah, or
We're gonna
an LGBT safe space, and then the taxes from that goes towards heterosexual porn actors that show up and have sex on their doorstep.
Tell me what's next, alien sex.
Like,
It's
it would be bad.
it's literally John Cena and people eating bacon.
Da-da-da.
Even if it's not offensive, it's still probably obnoxious, right? Like it's
Yeah.
like having a
Yeah.
rolling block party outside of your church or rec center every day.
It's kind of, in a lot of ways, deliberately trying to dunk on them, you know?
There's still a word for this I can't think of.
Dunk.
Dunking, assholing, I can't. I can feel it on the tip of my brain. I can't think of it. All right. Sadly for Jason, this arrangement didn't work out for him either, because he sent this dude named Menelaus to deliver the tribute to Antiochus. Well, Menelaus had this idea that he would just add this tribute onto his own pile and offer that as tribute for his own bit at high priest. And Antiochus was like, yes, this works for me. This put Menelaus in the uncomfortable position of taking power with all of Jason's old buddies still in their positions of power. So when rumor reached Jason that Antiochus had been killed in Egypt, he'd really just been placed in the circle, he sent 1,000 of his men to violently take back power of the temple from Menelaus. And this is where things went south. When Antiochus, still ego-bruised from having been put in the circle, heard of this little temple coup, he didn't see it as an inter-Jewish conflict, but as a full-fledged revolt against his power. This is recorded in the second book of Maccabees, 5:11 through 14.
When these happenings were reported to the king, he thought that Judea was in revolt. Raging like a wild animal, he set out from Egypt and took Jerusalem by storm. He ordered his soldiers to cut down without mercy those whom they met and to slay those who took refuge in their houses. There was a massacre of young and old, a killing of women and children, a slaughter of virgin and infants. In the space of 3 days, 80,000 were lost, 40,000 meeting a violent death, and the same number being sold into slavery. Oh, so bro wasn't dead. And like, Jason did the shenanigans, and as soon as Antioch heard about this bullshit, he came right back and killed all these people.
He was so mad.
Yeah, because I think Jason thought from a rumor that Antioch died.
Yeah.
So he like tried to take his post back, and then like Antiochus was like,
No, I'm gonna kill all you for fighting and taking my power away.
I can no longer sit back and allow communist infiltration.
I also want to point out the Maccabees is a group of brothers, and this also took place during the same time period that Daniel was written. So there may be two parts to a whole, if you know what I'm saying.
Now, in the year that followed, persecution against the Jews was, for the time, at an all-time high. He practically made it illegal to be Jewish in Judea by outlawing core elements of Torah. This included the practice of circumcision. the practice of keeping the Sabbath, dietary laws, and possession of Torah scrolls.
Bacon wrapped shrimp.
Would you enforce not eating non-kosher? Like, do you make them eat?
You eliminate all kosher foods.
Okay.
They're like, oh, what, you won't eat it? Why not? It's really yum, good. But you won't eat it because you like fancy schmancy food. Kill him.
Also, that guy's dick is cut. Kill him.
Yeah, he's got a weird f him up.
That's basically what they did. So violators faced the most horrible executions. Famously, mothers who circumcised infants were crucified with their children hung around their necks.
I don't even want to know how that is like physically possible.
I'm sure they thought of something.
What the f?
Yeah, from Maccabees 161. And they hanged the infants about their necks and rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them.
Or they threw them from high walls.
Second Maccabees 6:10 says, for example, 2 women were brought in for having circumcised their children. They publicly paraded them around the city with their babies hanging at their breasts and then hurled them headlong from the wall. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm like,
Worse still, it was decreed that the Hebrew temple would be ransacked, gutted for its treasures, and renovated into a lavish temple for Zeus, where prostitution and hearty banquets punctuated with animal sacrifices included those of pig, classically a blasphemy to Hebrew faith. It is this specific thing where the term abomination of desolation, as it appears in Daniel, was coined. Those who resisted, like the 7 Maccabees, were unceremoniously put to death, often alongside their innocent family members. In the case of the Maccabees, their mom was one of the people executed. This crisis birthed the Maccabean revolt under Judas Maccabeus, restoring Jewish autonomy until the Roman conquest of 63 BCE.
To be fair, since the book of Daniel is very likely 2nd century political propaganda written in the form of a vision, which uses symbolism and metaphorical language to portray prophecy, it can be used over and over again throughout history as a means of confirming and validating biases outside of the original intended political target, and that's Antiochus IV. So, for example, if you lived during the Middle Ages and believed that this text was indeed a prophecy to be fulfilled, then you might have believed that the little horn was Frederick II. If you were living through World War II, you might have believed that Adolf Hitler was the little horn.
Especially Hitler.
And so on and so forth.
makes me feel yuck.
Yeah, kings have a bad habit of just killing everybody when they get mad.
Quote, Daniel is the earliest full-blown example of a very specific genre. Resistance apocalypse written in the form of ex eventu, after the fact. Prophecy under an ancient pseudonym, end quote.
Pretty sure Grok meant post facto, but we can let that slide.
Sustained. Both terms would be accurate, actually. It's just that ex eventu or vaticinium ex eventu is a specific term used in relation to after the fact prophecy. So it's actually a term used by biblical scholars to describe this kind of literature that is meant to give the illusion of prophecy, more specifically, after the events occurred, by making it seem like it was written prior to the events.
This is like so much of occult literature is like this, though. Well, it's like, oh, this is written by 4th grade Hermes. He's a little better than Thrice. Oh yeah, my homeboy King Solomon over here.
or the gods themselves, thought wrote this book.
It's pronounced tote.
No, it was my boy Robin Williams who was advising me. Tahuti Williams.
Toth. You know what? Actually, like when I was first introduced to all that, like my mom actually taught me about ancient Egyptian stuff. And she said it was Thoth. Therefore, for the rest of time, it is pronounced as Thoth. I don't care what anybody says.
It's fine, and you can argue about how it was pronounced because there's no one that can prove you right or wrong that exists today.
I'm pretty sure it was pronounced Yahuti.
Well, yeah, that's the original Egyptian version. We're talking about the Greek version, which would be Thoth. The Greek versions are actually kind of better, I think, in a lot of ways, because, like, you look at Anubis is fucking awesome, and he's got a badass name. But then you look at the original Egyptian version, and it's like, and poo.
Yeah, I think...
Okay. Poo-poo.
You're going to make Hecka so mad.
No, I'm not mad. I think actually the Greeks tried really hard to, like, transliterate it into their own written language, so...
Like, Wepwet's not Wepwet. Wepwet's like, Upwet!
You don't have to shout it.
That's how they spoke.
So this is like kind of the downside of a prophecy, right? That anyone can just come along and apply their interpretation to it. And this actually reminds me of Norse paganism. For a couple years, I was an Asatruar, which is a follower of Asatru, one of the modern Norse pagan belief systems. And I studied the sagas and the Norse myths pretty heavily at that time.
You don't need to get SS lightning bolts to be an Asatruar, do you? I'm sorry.
Well, you've never seen the back of my head, Luke, but
No!
but no.
I'm just kidding. We vetted him.
I believe him.
I don't know. There's a reason we're asking the question.
I did vet him.
Sorry. One of the major stories in Norse myth is the prophecy of Ragnarok, sort of the Norse pagan Armageddon, where the gods would fight the Jotun giants and the world would end. And this prophecy is a crucial part of the beliefs. Preparing for Ragnarok and trying to prevent it drives most of Odin's actions, for example. However, because it predicted a time when the gods would die, it was also used rhetorically as apologia by Christians in post-pagan Scandinavia to justify the mass forced conversions to Christianity. And that is, they argued that Ragnarok had already happened, that the gods had died, so everyone might as well get on board with the new faith.
It's a trap!
Oh, brutal.
Yep.
That's their whole gimmick, is they're better at doing this than anyone else ever was in history. They're like, oh, put the little mistletoe, hangs it up, it's your culture. Also puts the crucifix over your heart, puts the crucifix on you.
Man, Hans is on fire.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, not Jotun's Mass. But if you'd like to hear us talk about how, okay, maybe Jesus was the Antichrist. Does that make sense? That doesn't make any sense.
If you want to know how it makes sense.
If you want to know how that makes sense, then please visit www.patreon.com/thewholerabbit, where your monthly donation of just $5 will not only get you the second half of this episode, you'll get the second half of every single one of our episodes, which goes back like 6 years.
Someone once told me time is a flat circle. Everything we've ever done or will do, we're gonna do over and over and over again.
I'll send you a 5x5 high-quality vinyl sticker for our Big Bunny Puffin cover art. You'll get the secret keys to our Discord server, where you can talk to us about the etymology of the Hebrew word little horn and what it has to do with the lady who always wants to talk to your manager. And
We're not only going to
no, really, you'll see.
we're not only going to make a
It'll make
case
sense.
for how someone might see Jesus as the Antichrist. We're going to basically lay it out for how it can be applied to multiple people.
All across our country, there's a lot of prayer. Prayer for those whose lives have been turned upside down. And I'm one of them.
We're going to talk about the spirit of the Goetia,
Yeah, and non-people.
the mark of the beast, and the Djal.
Mr. B.
For our huge Muslim audience.
Represent.
Assalamu alaikum.
Also, it's the best way to listen to the show and...
Now you must come with us. Taste our pleasures.
Thank you, everybody. Eat carrots, shoot lasers.
Pew, pew, pew.
Pew, pew.